Today we're going to be covering adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing radicals. So adding radicals. Let's say we have root 2 plus root 3. We can't simplify this any further because the number inside the radical, which is called the radicand, is different because it's 2 and 3. So sort of think about this like x plus y. You can't really add x plus y, and x plus y is the simplest form. But let's say we have 2 root 2 plus 3 root 2. In this case, we can add this because we both have the root 2. So this equals 3 plus 2, which is 5 root 2. So this is sort of like 2x plus 3x. We can add that because the x is the same, so we get 5x. Sort of a similar concept. So subtracting is similar. We can only add, or we can only subtract numbers or radicals with the same value inside the radical. So let's say we have 3 root 3 minus root 3. And the root 3 here is the same thing as 1 times root 3, so 3 minus 1 is 2 root 3. Okay, so multiplying radicals. We can only multiply radicals, we can multiply the numbers inside the radicals if the radical is to the same power, or like the second root. So let's say, we have 4 times root 5, or root 4 times root 5. Since this is both a square root and it's not to the third root or to the fourth root, we can multiply the numbers inside. So we have root 4 times 5, which is root 20, and we can actually simplify that because this equals 2 root 5, because the inside 20 equals 4 times 5. Okay, but let's say we have something like root 3 times the third root of, let's say, 4. We can't really multiply 3 times 4 because the radicals here are at different roots. This is supposed to be 2, but I just didn't write the 2, but it's the same thing. So basically this is the same thing as just writing the square root. So anyways, we can't multiply these two numbers because the radicals are at different roots. Okay, so when we divide, this is the same thing. So let's say we have root 15 divided by root 5. We just divide the numbers inside, so we get root 3. We can also think about this as making a fraction, so root 15 over root 5, which I think in the previous video I mentioned this, but this is also equal to root 15 over 5 in the same like radical, which also equals root 3, so you can do it either way. Okay, so we're gonna practice some practice problems, and I think I have like 7 or 8 maybe. Okay. So 2 root 20 plus 3 root 5. So first, when we add something, we need to make sure that the value inside the root is the same. And in this case, it's 20 and 5, so we can't add them. So our only choice is to try to simplify both radicals. So we can't simplify root 5, but we can simplify root 20, because root 20 is also equal to root 4 times root 5. So plus 3 root 5. And we know that root 4 is basically equal to 2. So we have 2 times 2, which is 4, root 5, plus 3 to the square root of 5, which equals, and now we can add them, 4 plus 3 is 7, so 7 root 5. So that's our answer, 7 root 5. Okay, next question. So we are going to multiply root 2 times root 5 and root 2 times root 3. So first we're going to multiply this, so we have root 2 times root 5 minus root 2 times root 3. So when we multiply, we just have to multiply the numbers inside the radical. So we have a radical, 2 times 5 is 10, minus square root 2 times 3 is 6. And you ask yourself, can you simplify this? And that's like the simplest form, so we can't simplify this any further, so this would be our answer. Root 10 minus root 6. Okay. So here, when we multiply the numbers, as I mentioned before, you can only multiply the radicals that are to the same power. So this is to the square root, so this is a fifth root. This is to the fifth root, because of the 5. Okay, so we can multiply these two numbers. So we just have the same 5 root, and then we're just going to multiply the numbers inside. So 16 times 2 is 32. And since 2 to the power 5 is 32, this is equal to 2. Okay, moving on. This actually we cannot multiply together because of the 2 and then the 3. So yeah, there's no equal sign. This is the simplest form. You can't really simplify it any further. You can write it also as like a different way, but this is like the simplest form you can write. So I'm not going to do anything to that problem. Okay, number 5. So that we're just going to FOIL this. So we have the outsides first. So I'm just going to write everything out, but you don't have to when you are actually doing the problem. So we have the outsides, which is square root of a times 2 times square root of a. Then we have the outsides, we have this and this. So we have plus 5 root a. Then we have the insides. So we have minus 3 times 2 is 6, so 6 root a. Then we have the outside, which is 3, negative 3, and plus positive 5, so we have negative 15. So then we're just going to multiply and add everything. So here we have a square root of a times square root of a, which is just a. So we have 2a. And here we have 5 root a minus 6 root a, which is negative root a, minus 15. So this is our answer. Okay, and so number 6. This we can also expand this to 3 minus root 2 times 3 minus root 2, but I'm just going to go straight into it and use this formula. A minus b squared equals a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So I'm just going to use this. So here we have the a here is 3, so we're just going to do 3 squared, which is 9, so 9, minus 2ab, so we have 2 times a, which is 3, and b, which is root 2. And then we have root 2b squared. So we have plus root 2 squared, which is 2. Then we're going to add and multiply everything out. So we have 9 plus 2. We have 9 on the outside and 2 on the inside. So this equals 11. And then this we're going to multiply. So we can multiply 2 times 3, which is 6. So minus 6 root 2. And that would be our answer. Okay, so moving on to question 7. There are 2 ways to do this problem. You can either first simplify this and then simplify this and then multiply it together, or you can multiply the values inside the radical first and then simplify. So I'm going to do the second method, which is you multiply the radical first. So we have 2 times, and since this is both to the third root because of the 3's, we can just multiply the inside. So we have 3 and then we have the radical, the third root of, and then we can multiply the inside. So we have 125 times x, and 6 plus 4 is 10, so x to the power of 10. Then we're going to simplify the inside of the radical just to make it easier for us to find the numbers to the power of 3. So we have 2, the third root, and then so we know that 5 to the power of 3 is 125, and we know that x to the power of 3 is x to the power of 9, but this is x to the power of 10, so we're left with 1x. So we simplified this as much as possible so that we can find values that are to the third power. So then this equals 2 times, and we have 5 to the power of 3, so 5, and this is all outside of the radical, times x to the power of 3. But since this last x right here is not to the power of 3, we just have to keep that inside the radical. And then we can simplify this by multiplying the 2 times 5, which is 10. So 10x to the power of 3 times the third root of x. So this would be our answer. Okay, so next problem. The next problem, we can simplify the numerator, but before we do that, we want to try to get rid of the radical in the denominator by rationalizing the denominator. So first I'm going to rationalize the denominator by multiplying root x plus 2 to the both numerator and the denominator. And we do that because if we multiply 2 radicals, the radicals basically cancel out and we get the inside. So we have root x plus 2 times root x plus 2. So then we have x plus 2. Then we multiply the top, and we can simplify this part to 2 times x plus 2. So you can do 2 times x plus 2 times the radical of x plus 2. And we got to extend this. Oh, and the bottom should have been x plus 2. I don't know why that disappeared. But anyways, and then we can cancel out x plus 2 in both the numerator and denominator, and we're left with 2 times root x plus 2. So this is our answer. Okay, so thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment on either my website or the YouTube video. And thank you for watching, and please remember to subscribe to my channel.